Welcome to Codex History of Video Games. My name's Tyler Osby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
This week, Mike is going to take us on a journey through the history of fishing video games. Is it fishing in video games or video games specifically about fishing?
So we're doing video games specifically about fishing
Okay,
today.
fishing is the main thing. No World of Warcraft fishing mini games, no RuneScape, lobster fishing pots.
None of that stuff. Because
Okay.
here's what happened. Okay, I guess this isn't even in the notes. We're already going off script, but that's fine. So we play a lot of games together, and one of the games we play together, Destiny 2. We talk about it. They added fishing into Destiny 2 in this new season. I have no idea why. Like, I don't know the point. I'm so confused. It's fine. It's a fishing mini game. It's okay, right? But that kind of got me thinking about fishing in video games. And for the longest time, I've had in my head, like, do an episode on the first fishing video games and try that out. I don't know if there's interest here. I have no idea. We're going to talk about 3 fishing games in sort of a relaxed style. That's kind of what we're going for, because I genuinely don't know if this is something that people are interested in, but we're just going to go for it. So we're going to go through like kind of the first 3, the big first 3 fishing games that I could find. It's also important to note, extremely hard to find these. I couldn't find a list of like fishing games. I think these are the first 3. There could be some in between. The time frame we're talking about here is 1977 to 1985. That's kind of where we're looking.
Great record keeping on video games.
No. The first 2 games actually are in a Washington Post article I found that was called Hook, Line, and Sinker, How Fishing Mini Games Became a Video Game Mainstay. And it's talking about these first fishing video games. But then the third one, I actually found it on one of those like graphical montages on YouTube of how graphics have changed in certain game game genres. And this one was in 1985. It seemed to be the next kind of iteration of fishing after the second one we're going to talk about. So if someone knows of more fishing games that I'm missing, please send us an email, codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. But I think this is it. So we're just going to go for it. You ready, Tyler?
I am ready. Tell me about fishing, Mike.
Okay. So the first fishing video game ever comes from 1977, and it is called Gone Fishin', which is confusing because there is a 1994 fishing video game called Gone Fishin', and I believe a late 90s movie called Gone Fishin' with, I believe it's Donald Glover and Joe Pesci, I think, are in that game, in that movie. So there's that as well. Also, let me just double check myself here. Danny Glover, not Donald Glover. Danny Glover. Yeah. Donald Glover of Childish Gambino fame and Danny Glover of Lethal Weapon fame. And what's funny is I saw this 1997 movie in the theaters. I have a distinct memory of it. So yes, it's one of those like comedies in the late 90s where you're like, it's funny, but I don't know how it will hold up today. Anyway, this isn't the history of fishing movies, so we're going to keep moving on. Gone Fishing was developed by one person, William Engel, published by, it said Personal Software. I don't know if this is just what the source I found puts for their like thing on here, like just what they put on it, but this is what appears on the screen when you boot up the game. It says published 1978 Personal Software is what it says when you boot up the game.
Name.
Yeah. Systems, as far as I know, this is only on a TRS-80 computer. That's what this was programmed for, this game. Okay. I don't know if you can play it now. I didn't really go out searching for an emulator. I'm sure maybe there is one.
Oh, I'm sure there's a TRS-80 emulator.
Yeah, there's got to be a TRS-80 emulator. That's probably the best way to play this game if you want to play it. I didn't even play it because I just watched this video on it and I'm like, that makes sense. That's all I need. And you're going to see why I didn't go out and play it, because it is a text-based adventure. We don't have any sales data. We have no idea. But the time to complete this game, based on the YouTube video playthrough I watched, is 3 minutes. That's it.
So are you meant to play it over and over? Does it like different every time you do it? Like is the whole game loop like cast a line? Oh no, you have a bite. Now you reel it in. Game's over.
It's kind of, so as it turns out, like this is how it works. Your choices as a player are entirely based on where to go in the body of water you are in. So you can go north, south, east, or west, forward or backward. Those are the directions, and you just would type N, S, E, W, F, or B to say what option you're selecting. I'm pretty sure forward and backward mean that you're going the same heading, the same
The
compass
same direction
heading.
you just did.
Yeah, because you're
Okay.
kind of in a grid that you can't see. This is very like text-based common, I feel like, in games. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of
Mhm.
got to think of directions in your head. There's no map. But after you select the direction you want to go in, you're told various things about the fish you did or did not catch. That's right. The game fishes entirely for you. The only thing you can do is navigate the boat. So I've included a screenshot here for Tyler to see so he can see what the text space looks like. Black screen, white text. That's all you see. And I'll just read what this one says. So at the beginning of the game, it says no bites at location 1 1. Total pounds. This trip is 0 because you haven't started fishing yet. You have fished for 0 hours. Move north, south, east, west, forward, back, but it's just the letters. In the YouTube video I watched, the person chooses east, so E. Then it says you caught 1 fish, each weighing 2 pounds at location 1 2. Total pounds this trip is 2. You have fished for zero point 0.1 hours. Move, and then you have to move again, and that's the loop. You just move every time. This is why I didn't play the game. I'm like, this is extremely simple, and I feel like I got it.
Is
You know
there
what I
some
mean?
kind of like strategy to like, okay, if I caught a fish, if I keep moving in that direction, there'll be more fish. If I didn't catch a fish in that direction, maybe I should try a different direction. Like, or is it just like the game flips a coin and like,
That's the thing, is we don't know. There's nothing about this game other than this video online. And I say that, I mean, there's no Wikipedia page for this. There's no Moby Games page. I usually go to Moby Games if I can't find anything. There was nothing for this Gone Fishing game. The only thing that would pop up for Gone Fishing is that 1994 game I mentioned before, and that's about fishing in Canada. So,
okay,
not the same. So it seems to be random. I don't know if it's pre-scripted in the directions you go, but I do know the game ends because after about 3 minutes, you get a message saying you are back at the dock after, and I put X hours of fishing, so however long you fished. It mentions you clean your catch, and then it gives you a fisherman rating. So in the YouTube video, it said you rate 102 as a fisherman. I have no clue what that means, Tyler.
you rate 102.
Yeah, your rating is 102. That's your number. You're 102.
There's like 102nd. Is that
I don't know, 102nd, or is it like above average because you're like an A plus plus? You're over 100%. I have no idea what it means,
oh okay?
but I'm having t-shirts made, I guess,
Yeah, I
that
guess
you
so.
rate you as a fisherman. I
Yep,
mean, it seems legit to me, right?
sounds fine.
Fun story about this game, by the way. When I was messing around with JavaScript initially, like when I started my class in 2021, I wrote a little thing that like did this, but instead of traveling in a boat, you would just press the cast button and it like picked a certain species of fish based off of like weighted percentage table I made. That was like what you pick. And I'm like, it's weird to me that this William Engel guy and I had the same idea, but his was in 1977
He was
and
way
mine
ahead of the
was,
game.
yeah, he was way ahead of the game. He knew what he was doing. But that's pretty much, unfortunately, it for the first ever fishing game. It's kind of disappointing, right?
I was gonna say, like, imagine being like a kid and you want to get like your older parent or like grandparent into video games because you love playing video games. And you're like, you know what Grandpa loves to do? Grandpa loves to fish. Grandpa, I found you this fishing video game. Let's play. Let's fish together playing this video game. You sit down and Grandpa's like, what is this? We didn't even fish. How is this
You
fun?
just drove a boat. You
Yeah,
drove a boat in a different heading. That's all you did. It also doesn't say if it's even you're on a boat. You could just be.
just
It says
wading
you're back
in.
at the dock, so it insinuates you're on a boat, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah, I guess so. Because like, yeah, even as a kid, I'd be like, what? What?
I don't know, man. I really don't. I feel kind of bad that I don't have more than this, and this is the disappointing truth about this is the first ever fishing
Was
game.
this a
Is
game people
this?
paid money for? It'd be one thing if it like came with it, or if it's just like online because this is the first game a person made because they're learning how to program. Like that seems fine, but like, is this a thing people paid money for?
I have no idea. I don't know much about the TS-80. Maybe I need to look more into this computer and see, but it's one of those. This is the game. This is it.
That's it.
You
Well,
just
TRS-80, I don't think could do graphics, so
Yeah. I mean, this is 1977 we're talking about here.
yeah, at least
So
not then. I'm sure there were add-ons later that would have it do that. That's like right around Apple II time period. I think 77 is when the Apple II came out.
I mean, I trust the Washington Post though, and according to them, this is considered the first ever fishing game. Is this Gone Fishing,
Okay.
1977? Let's redo it. Let's give it a graphical 4K remake. Just really spruce it up.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I'm in.
All right. The next game, this is going to be more our speed, and that's because it is called Fishing Derby. It's in 1980, and it's an Atari 2600 game. It was developed by David Crane. It's published by Activision. Probably the best way to play this game is in browser on an emulator after you own a legal physical copy of the game, as always,
Of
like I've
course.
always said,
Of course.
which I do because that's how I played it. I played it with my legal physical copy
Yep.
next to me while I played on an emulator in browser.
Hmm.
And I gotta say, this one's kind of fun. I really like this one. It's actually like got a skill thing. We'll talk about it in a bit. But the genre or gameplay style, fishing sim, copies sold, unknown. For Atari 2600 games, I know you can go on video game metrics sites and check it, but how dependent is that realistically? I don't think it's
Yeah.
very dependent at
1980
all.
again. Record keeping, not great.
Not great. And the average time to beat this game, I can tell you, I played it a couple times, and matches range from like 3 to 5 minutes, depending on like the computer speed versus your speed. And as far as a Metacritic score goes, the game is well received. It unfortunately, in order for me to read the review of this, I would have to check out a 1987 edition of Video Magazine from the Tom Green County Library System in San Angelo, Texas. So we're just going to take their word for it that it's a good game according to reviewers.
Game's good, and you played it, so I believe you.
I did play it and I had a good time. Now, this game is actually like graphical fishing. Where the first time we're doing it, we have graphics, we're fishing. In fact, you can say this game is like a precursor to some more modern fishing mini games we see. In fact, this one reminded me most of the fishing pond in Link's Awakening, which is one of my personal favorite little fishing mini games in a video game.
Hmm.
Is the Link's Awakening fishing?
Yeah,
Did you ever
that's
play
that
that?
is. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's really fun. I like it's like a it makes it into like almost like a 2D side scroller, and you like cast a line and
Yeah, and that's pretty much what this game is. Essentially, it works either single player or multiplayer. It's either one, when I say multiplayer, it's one or two players. On the screen, there are two fishermen sitting on docks facing each other. And below them is a pool with yellow fish swimming at various depths. And the player will automatically cast their line down. And then you can use the joystick on your Atari to maneuver and change the depth by hitting up or down and then move it to side. Once you get near a fish's mouth, you'll hook it and begin reeling in automatically. And you can actually use the little top button on the joystick. They called it the trigger button, but I'm going to call it like the fire button on a joystick,
mm-hmm.
to reel in faster and use the side to side motion to avoid the game's main obstacle, which is a shark at the surface. So the shark will eat your catch.
Scary.
Yeah, and the shark's always controlled like by the computer, right? That's the game. If the shark touches your catch, you lose the fish, and you just cast again. If you pull the fish up to the surface, you automatically land it, and you get points. And the points are based on the depth of the fish, and the deepest level is like worth the most points, right? So if you pull one all the way from the bottom, it's more points than if you pull it from the shallows.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's the first to 99 wins. That's how this one works. The first player to 99 points wins, whether you're playing two player or if you're playing against the computer. I played this game in browser on an emulator, and it's actually kind of hard. There's like a skill aspect to the game as far as dodging the shark goes as you're pulling it up, and also like what fish is worth going for.
Oh yeah, because the ones that are worth more are probably harder to get. They got more shark.
They are. So it's like a time management thing. Like, do you fish in the middle to get middle points because it's faster than fishing in the depths to get the max points? The main rule I read with multiplayer too, because I didn't get to play multiplayer. Obviously, I just played it against the computer and I lost, makes me sad.
Oh.
But it's not my biggest L I've taken today in research for this podcast. Wait till we get to the third game. The main thing with multiplayer is you can hook a fish that another player has hooked, but if you're the first person to get it, if it's reeled up to the surface, you get the points.
Oh,
So this
so you
kind of
could reel in someone else's fish. You don't want to do that.
you don't want to do that. Yeah, you want to be careful. But I played the game and I lost. It took me a while to get the hang of it, but I really think this game's got like a cool skill aspect to it, and it's very colorful. Like for the it's kind of got that color thing going where it's got like very bright blues, very bright yellows. each fisherman's wearing a silly hat. Like it's fun. So it's got that aspect for like children, but if you're an adult with a 2600 and you played this game against your friends, it can get kind of heated, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty cool. I thought this game was great. Again, no development news on it other than we know it was an Activision game, but I don't know anything about like how it was produced or developed. But it's a fun game for history's sake. I would say it's a fun game.
Yeah, well, we should read that review from the Tom Green County Library System in San Angelo, Texas.
I found it so funny that that was the only place according to the internet, that's the only place I could get it.
Video
That's where it was linked.
magazine. Huh. I wonder if there's any scans online.
There might be. I just didn't. I got to a point where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna hunt that hard for this. Okay. To be completely honest with everybody.
Archive.org has a bunch of video magazine. Do we know what issue it's in? 1987.
They said 1987 in that, according to it, but I didn't dig that much further. The small blurb, because it was on Wikipedia where I saw the little blurb, but I didn't want to just quote Wikipedia, was that it was like it's again, like I kind of mentioned, where it's good for the kids. It's got those bright colors and like a fun video game, but it's got a skill level to it that's a little more advanced than meets the eye in the beginning. And that's why it got like a good recommendation. It was recommended as an Atari game.
All right.
So all you Atari 2600 heads, let us know in the chat if you played Fishing Derby in the chat, in the email or Discord chat. That's fine. So those are the first two we're talking about, but the main bulk of this episode is actually going to be the third game I played for this video game history today. It's the last one we're talking about because this was very different than any game I've played, even newer fishing sims, I guess. So, and it's kind of hard to explain. So, Tyler, interrupt me at any time if you have any questions because this is a very different kind of video game. So,
Okay.
it's called Jack Charlton's Match Fishing from 1985, developed and published by a company called Alligata Software Limited.
Alligator. I want to say that's alligator.
Is it like alligator, like alligator,
Yeah.
but with an A at the end?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Alligator.
it's British. I don't know. Is that how they
Alligator.
pronounce it? That was a really good accent
Thanks.
work, Tyler. I've always said that about you. Okay. The programmer is Elliot Gay. The graphics were by Frederick David Thorpe, but they're uncredited
Classic
with the
80s video
graphics.
game.
Really, yeah, classic 80s video game. The release date was 1985. The systems, including the best way to play it, is the Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum are what the game originally came out for. How I played this game and actually got most of the information about this game is available to play on archive.org. And I feel like because it's on archive.org, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just play
I
it.
mean,
If you want to give it a go.
yeah, I have a feeling Elliot Gay and Frederick David Thorpe are not getting money from this anymore, no matter what. I don't think there's a legitimate way to give them money for this game. You could just send them a check, I guess.
Yeah, you could just PayPal them if you want to, but Alligator Software Limited closed in 1988. So and were bought by Superior Software is the name of the company that purchased them, and I don't even know if they're open still. That's as far down
Uh-oh,
the chain as I
I'm
went.
going down a rabbit hole. Here we go.
But yeah, so it's very much. I would recommend just going to archive.org and giving this game a go if you're willing to put yourself through that, which is a dark, bleak morning. But I'm going to explain myself shortly. The number of copies sold, we have no idea. The genre gameplay style, it's a third person sports sim. The key word here is sim. All right. Average time to complete, match time is set by the player or players, and it can range from anywhere from 1 to 90 minutes. When I played, I think the longest game I played was 5 minutes. The shortest one was 1 minute just to see what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
There is no Metacritic at this time. So the review scores were not around, but I think this game kind of had like a cult following with it for the computer people in the 80s.
Okay.
And I really think it's because of how it was done. So I played the game on archive.org and I want to address the elephant in the room first. Who is Jack Charlton? Right?
That's what I
Jack
want to know.
Charlton. I know you
I
you were
assume
on
he
the edge
was
of your
some kind of professional fisherman.
No, he is a former football manager for the Republic of Ireland.
Okay, so just a regular Ted Lasso here.
Yeah, if you actually Wikipedia Jack Charlton like I did, they have quite a career coaching football in the UK and Ireland and just around everywhere. I think they do end up going to Premier League. Again, I'm not entirely sure on this. I am by no means an expert on sports podcasting, so we're just gonna call it there. But the thing about Jack Charlton is he loved fishing and he loved hunting. And apparently he loved fishing so much that Alligator Software decided to make a computer game about it. And that's what they did.
Okay, all right. Do you think he went to
So
them
the
and was
game,
like, "I want to make a fishing video game," or did they come to
I
him and they're
don't
like, "We have
know.
this fishing video game. We want to put your name on it."
Dude, this is the one that I'm doing an episode on, and I have so many questions. And we're going to get to those questions in the end, but this game is so different from anything I've ever played. So let me just explain to what's going on when you play it. So the game begins with you selecting how long. Well, at first it asks for your name and how many players are playing, right? Because you can play up with up to 8
Oh,
people
okay.
in this game. Then it says how long you want to play for, like how long do you want your match to last, and it's like 1 to 90 minutes. Then you get a nice narrative description of where you're fishing. And this is the screenshot from my first playthrough. And this is what it said. Okay, here we go. The screenshot's right down here. It says, Slim conditions. You are located at the mouth of a river. The water is slow, running, and murky, and contains a lot of organic debris. The maximum depth is 8 feet. Directly behind you, there is a large tree. Press any key to continue. Now, here comes the interesting part. That little description isn't just narrative flair. You need to use this description of your surroundings to pick the appropriate tackle to catch the most fish.
Okay.
So it's like setting the scene, and then you need to use your own internal fishing knowledge to know what equipment to use. And the equipment tackle selection is actually pretty advanced. So I have another screenshot here from my play of it. And it says the rod, you could have a rod choice, a float depth choice, a reel choice, your bait, your line strength, like the pound test of your line, your hook size, and how like strong you cast. So those are the variables that you can change in this game. You're then given instructions on how to play the game. Essentially, you have a peg, and the peg is kind of like your spot, is what I gather. Every time I played single player, I was peg 6. I think that's just the default. But from what I understand, this is how they're doing this like match fishing. I said this is the rules of traditional competitive fishing. I don't know. I have no
Probably.
idea.
That sounds right. That you would have a spot that's your spot.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm gathering is like in match fishing, this might be your spot where you're starting. And if you play with other players, there's up to 8 pegs, so everyone can have a different peg. So let me read this next screenshot is the instructions on how to play the game. Okay, here we go. And it's very funny. I feel like this is a very funny thing to say. So here we go. Please all take a seat around the computer with all hands well away from the keyboard. Tyler, get your hands away from the keyboard.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You will be shown a picture of the fishing area with all the pegs marked out. When your peg number flashes, it means that you have a bite. You must press the equivalent number key on the keyboard to strike. If you are quick, you will get the chance to catch the fish by pressing space when the fish reaches the line. To
Whoa.
change your tackle, press T. To pause or restart, press M. To see peg description, press P. To terminate the game, press Q. And this is press any key. Then once you press that and once you press the any key, that's funny. Okay. When you press any key and you move on to the next screen, you get this actually like really nice screenshot. Are you looking at this right now?
Yeah, yeah. This looks great. Regular Bob Ross.
It's a regular Bob Ross painting esque description, like picture of this beautiful lake and this little cabin and there's trees and more importantly, there's the peg spots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is I feel like this is good for 1964. What do you think, graphics wise?
1964?
No, but not 1964, 1985. I don't know
Oh,
why I put 64 there.
I was like, dang, that's really good for 1964. Yeah, 1985. Yeah, I mean, for a computer graphics, sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's essentially a picture. Now, once the peg starts flashing, you press the number key and you're shown like a little fishing man on the right and the fish approaching the hook. And then so this is the funny part. When I was writing this, I thought you didn't have to do anything. You definitely have to press space when it gets close to it. Um, and then when you press space, if you lose the fish, it tells you a reason why. And that's when you would press the tackle button to change tactics to match the situation you're in. So, for
Gotcha.
example, a couple times I got a message saying my hook broke, meaning I had the wrong hook size. So I had to go back and press the tackle button and try again.
Okay, so you get a little bit of feedback if it doesn't work out. You know
Yeah.
kind of what maybe what needs to change or at least something that needs to change.
Yeah, exactly. And so you got to press the space bar when it gets close, which is something I didn't really figure out. Even when because I was playing it while I was writing this, and I thought you didn't have to do anything at first. I forgot to change that. You definitely have to press the space bar to catch the fish if it gets close to you, which is why I didn't catch. But then I just kept getting like these hook errors and stuff. And I just never caught anything, and I would change the hook. Okay, we'll talk about it a bit. But the funny part is the game is just you like waiting for a bite. So like real fishing, you just sit on this screen with this nice, beautiful mountain vista until a bite happens. And that can be like minutes of waiting.
Wow.
So I was writing the notes for this video game while waiting for a fish to bite in this video game. and and it's just so frustrating because then you get the moment, you get really excited, you press the six key, you shown the little man who's got his feet up on a little footrest, which I find very funny. And also it says my fisherman name is MK because I misclicked and you can't hit the delete button to go back. You just gotta sit in it, I guess. So I
Once
did
you
that.
typed it in, that's it. No going back.
Yep, no take backsies. You end up going and catching it and fishing, and then you just wait. You just sit there and wait. There are 8 pegs because the game supports 8 players on one computer. So I just think it's funny because if you're playing multiplayer, you would have 8 friends hunched around one keyboard of a Commodore 64,
Just waiting for your number to flash.
which makes me think this might actually be like a kind of fun like party slash drinking game. Realistically, if you're all sitting by a computer waiting to like click a button, click a number key, like I could see how it could get heated.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially if multiple fish start lighting up at once and you're like fighting to be the one who gets their number first.
Oh yeah, I think it could get real heated. I should have just picked a multiplayer game and seen what it was like now that I'm looking back on this just to see how it goes, but it's very funny, and it's just funny because I feel like you get this many people that probably played this game in the 1980s and did hunch around their keyboards and were like getting very into it. And I love that. I just love that. I love that people get into that kind of stuff. I got a screenshot here from a YouTuber who was playing to see what it showed what it's like when you actually catch a fish because I've never caught one. And when you do catch a fish, it says you have landed a bream weighing 0 pounds 8 ounces, so it gives you a weight. I played 3 matches of this game by myself and never caught a single fish.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Your fishing knowledge is not great, I guess.
I guess not. And I go fishing in real life too, which is crazy. I was really trying to think about it and do it right, and I just couldn't. I had to go to YouTube to see this guy catch one. However, I want to say that I like admire this game because of what it's trying to do. There's actual strategy to match the situation. In a way, this game is actually trying to teach you about real life fishing. You're picking the right tackle for the right conditions and the fish you are trying to catch. So it is teaching you something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm a little remiss that with all 3 of these games, though, we don't really have an idea of how development went. Like, I really want to know the thoughts behind some of these features in the game, especially with the Jack Charlton's match fishing game. Like, what did they use as a source book for fishing in certain conditions? Did the developers actually fish, or did Jack Charlton have a book that they used to base this all on? That would make sense to me. The only thing I can tell you about Alligator Software Limited is that they made 44 games between 1983 and 1988. Almost
Sheesh.
all of them were for PCs like the BBC Micro, the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Acorn Electron, Dragon 32, the Atari 8-bit, and I forgot to write it in here, but they also made games for the Atari ST as well. And
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. They'd be a PC game developer in the UK where PCs were real big during the like
yeah,
early 80s.
yeah, and this list is coming from Obi Games. That's like the source I use, so I know it's not entirely reliable, but it's kind of the best we have with this kind of history. I'm a little bummed things weren't recorded better, but that's kind of the Wild West nature of 1980s video game and PC development on console and
Yeah.
PCs. It's just like the way it is. So that's kind of where we're gonna leave it today. Uh, and there's a reason we're leaving it here because the next game coming up on the list of like chronological fishing games is my first ever fishing game I owned. And I'm super nostalgic for it. And I really love it. And I didn't want to like do it as a throwaway at the end of this episode. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the reason it's a little shorter this week because I was like, I don't want to throw this game I loved at the end of it and then just walk away. I want to give it the full time. I also want to play it over the course of the week and really get into it.
Yeah, let's
So
dive in.
we're gonna do that next time we do this. I know we haven't finished the early Nintendo history. We're gonna finish that. I just kind of wanted to give myself a little mental break before I dive back into that again. So that's what we're doing. My next episode will most likely be the final prehistory of Nintendo episode. But if you liked this, you should let us know, and I will do another one on the game that I love. And if you don't like it, then just don't say anything, and your silence will be a great hint to me to move on with my life and do something
Or
else.
you can tell us too. That's okay. You can
I
tell
mean, yeah,
me.
that's
Don't
true.
tell Mike. You can tell me if you didn't like it.
Yeah, you can tell Tyler if you didn't like it, but I can't handle that emotionally, so don't do that to me. Okay? Now, Tyler, what you been playing?
This week, I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom. Almost said Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom, a little bit. I've been playing. I did just hop back into some Final Fantasy 14 today. I really want to make progress on Endwalker, so I just did that. I did the first trial, which is a beast of a trial. The trials in Final Fantasy 14 are basically just like what a boss fight, like a single boss fight. And the one in the main storyline, the first one for this, really feels like it should have been the last boss. That's how like big of a spectacle and like how big the bad guy was. So I'm like really stoked to see where this storyline's going because if we took out the big bad or what I thought was the big bad that quickly, we got some work to do. So I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't really played much Destiny, but I know that like there's a new season and there's fishing in it now, so maybe I need to pick that up. But the big thing that I've been playing this week is still working on Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, and you've been watching me play that. We've been having a lot of fun there. I think almost
I
done. I
have.
got two more bosses. Well, four if you count the three forms of the final boss. Spoilers.
Are we gonna finish it tonight? We might finish it tonight.
We might. It depends on how hard these boss fights are. Because I stopped to grind for that first boss fight that I beat last night, and I did a whole bunch of grinding so I could get better cards and get a better deck and stuff in that game. And once I beat that boss, the second fight against Vexen, there was like two or three more bosses after that. Sort of I had to fight Riku like twice, and the big bearded like Zeus looking heartless guy from the beginning of the first Kingdom Hearts, and you fight him again later. You had to fight him in this too. They were all super easy. All these other boss fights were very easy, I think, because of the grinding I had done. So if that carries through to the rest of the game, we'll probably finish tonight. If it doesn't carry through, then we might have a harder time. We'll see.
Well, I'm excited. I'm
Me
excited
too.
either way. I'm thoroughly enjoying this one, but I don't like the card system as much. Not even playing it, just watching it. I
Yeah.
liked it better when you were just like action RPGing it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the card system I go back and forth on because sometimes it feels really bad when you know the enemy just sort of has like higher numbers than you, and it's just like that feels really futile. What feels really good about that game is seeing the enemy like stacking up, getting ready to do like a big move, and like having your trump card ready for them so that when they do their big thing, you just like cancel it right away. So like it's one of those like it feels really bad to have your moves canceled out by better cards, but it feels really good to cancel out the bad guys' moves with your better cards. So I go back and forth. When I'm winning, I'm really enjoying it. When I'm losing it, it's total BS. You know?
Yeah, I do love the when you've discovered kind of over the course of the game different card combos because we had Cloud in the beginning and his card just by itself kind of was terrible.
Yeah. If you landed the hit, it was good, but it was so unreliable.
Yeah, but now you stacked it and you get this like press Y thing where he jumps around the screen and does damage is way cooler.
Yeah.
What's that strike that you do that's like slicing and then it does the damage afterward?
Oh, lethal frame.
Yeah, lethal
Yeah,
frame.
where it
That's a cool
stops the
attack
enemy
too.
and then Sora just like goes ham for like 5 straight seconds and no damage happens, and then he kind of stops, and then you just watch the bad guy take the damage. It's really satisfying, and it's a lot
It
of
is really
damage.
satisfying. It's a lot of damage. Fire spells are still broken in that game though,
Yep,
and I love watching it. Fire
just
spells.
just stacking up Firaga. It's like half a health bar for all these bad guys. So if you just have a deck full of fires, you're probably gonna be fine.
I mean, I think you've inspired me, Tyler. I will play Metal Gear Solid if you watch me do it and guide me through it. If you're
Oh,
my Metal Gear Solid Sherpa, if you will do that for
I will
me,
be your Metal Gear Solid Sherpa.
I would love that. I would love that so much.
Oh boy, what have you been playing this week, Mike?
I did pick up Destiny 2 because I had to know. Once they added fishing, I'm like, well, this is my favorite thing to do in every MMO I've ever played, so I have to know what it's like. And it's all right. It's just kind of fun. They have this thing where if more people are fishing around you, you get more bonuses. So you start fishing and then you notice all these other people showing up next to you because we're all trying to get the bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
But the bait is held off by playing activities, and you and I have talked about this at length on here, but the loop of activities versus rewards, not satisfying anymore.
Oh,
Kind of boring
yeah.
and not something I really enjoy. So I am once again going to just play this season for the story probably and kind of move on. I've been playing a lot of Tears of the Kingdom though. I am loving that. I'm on my second temple right now and I love it. I'm having a good time with these puzzles. These puzzles feel really good in Tears of the Kingdom
Yeah.
because they all have like very satisfying solutions with the building mechanics. That makes me happy.
Yeah, and you always feel like you're breaking the game when you do it. You're like, surely nobody thought of this. I'm the first person to ever solve this puzzle like this. Watch me build a bridge. Haha! I've defeated you, game developers.
Take this, game developers. I built a giant bridge out of multiple planks. I did. It took me 20 minutes to make this, but
See
I
how
did it.
resourceful I am with using
Yes.
these planks that were just happened to be here in this otherwise like stone and pristine room.
Have you gone into the underground yet?
No, not yet, but I've heard it's
Oh,
pretty
it's
cool.
spooky. I
Yeah.
love it. It's really cool. It's a really cool idea, and I'm just trying to make my Zonite battery bigger now, so I can have more batteries on my battery belt
Mm-hmm.
because I want to build the crazy stuff I see online. That's what I want to try
You
to
want to
do.
build a mech?
I want to build a mech. Exactly. I want to play Tears of the Gundam. That's what I want to play
Yeah,
in this game.
that sounds fun.
I also picked up last night with some friends a Civ 6 game, Civilization 6, because the DLC is like always on sale, but I got the one they use for like $4.
Nice.
So I haven't played the Civ game in a long time. I was having a good time. I was just so tired last night, so I just had to go to bed. But
Yeah.
it was a really good time.
What was the
And I didn't
DLC?
know
Which one was it?
it's called Rise and Fall, but I honestly don't even know what it really does yet because I just picked up Civ 6. I've owned it for a long time. I played Civ 5 was the last one I
Okay.
played. So I honestly had to like relearn how to play Civ again last night. But it was a good time. I love the aspect that I can play co-op with my friends and we're all on the same team and we all each go for a different win condition. So I'm trying to go for the science win
Oh, that
right
sounds
now.
fun.
Yeah, and then we have someone doing culture, someone doing what's the other one? I think it's money. There's another one. It's
There's
culture. So
domination.
military,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, domination victory. So one person's going military, one person's going culture, and the other person is just trying to make as much money as possible to like help us out, which I think is kind of cool,
Oh,
like a support role
that's
for the
fun.
game.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's a really good time, man. Do you have Civ
I
6?
do. Yeah, I played a lot of Civ 6.
We should jump into it together. It's a real good time. But yeah, I'm enjoying that thoroughly. So now we have one email to read. Do you want to read the email
Yeah,
we have in here? It's from Ryan from California.
the subject line here is popular game I couldn't get into, and a shout out. Ryan says, "Hi, Mike and Tyler. Just wanted to throw in a popular game that I couldn't get into. Shadow of the Colossus was a beautiful game and it was really fun, but I just felt bad for those poor colossuses. They were just minding their own business, not bothering anybody, and I'm supposed to just barge into their homes and kill them. I felt too bad for them and I couldn't finish the game. Also, I wanted to thank you guys and my local library. I had never played the Bioshock series, and your episode on it made me really want to play. On a recent trip to the library with my 2-year-old, I discovered my library rents games, and lo and behold, they had the Bioshock collection. I'm playing through them now and having a blast. Just wanted to thank you and let your listeners know to support their local library and check them out for game rentals. Keep up the great podcasting and insert clever spider butts phrase here. Ryan from California. Thanks, Ryan.
Oh, I didn't know libraries did video
They
games.
do,
Now I want
yeah.
to go to
They
mine.
do
That's
movies
really
too.
cool.
Movies and video games. They usually will have. I mean, they don't get stuff like brand new the day of usually, but like, well, maybe they do. I don't know. I guess I haven't done video games at a library in a long time, but Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Man, that's something that's going to go away when everything gets more and more digitized.
Yeah, it's kind of already down that path.
That's a bummer,
Yeah,
but it's good to support the local libraries.
sure
Thank you,
is.
Ryan, for the email. Also, glad you're playing Bioshock. Let us know what you think. Still gonna insist that the Bioshock 2 DLC is the one of the best DLCs I've ever played in my entire
It
life.
is real good.
I'm gonna
Minerva's
push
Den.
that real hard. Minerva's Den. Yeah, I'm pushing that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening today. If you want to go ahead and support us, you can just tell your friends about our podcast. We don't really do ads, so just tell your friends about us. That's the nicest thing you can do. You can give us a rating and review also wherever you do that. If you want to know more about our podcast, potentially join our Discord, send us an email, look at our Twitters, look at our Trello boards, go to codexpodcast.net. That's where you can go, and that's where we're at. It's got everything you would ever want on there. So, yeah, there's that. But with that, Tyler, you want to say bye to everybody today?
Goodbye to everybody.